Hey everybody, DP, and I'm finally back home from Orlando. A week's worth of movies, long and short. A week's worth of being around creative people, artistic folks, which of course, for you creative folks out there, you have a full understanding of what being around other creative folks can do for you. Expanding the mind, the heart, soul. As a part of it, I want to take the opportunity to just kind of give some preview on what's coming, what I saw and what's coming. So of the large volume of full feature films that I saw, one of them is one that's getting some pretty good buzz, and for a good cause. It's based on Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, Fred Rogers. The film is called Won't You Be My Neighbor? And I was not an all-in fan of Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, as much of the pop culture of it, the often parodies of it, but something called me to seeing it. And as I sat into it, one, there was a feeling amongst the people that were there, and I met some great folks from Florida, some teachers, as a matter of fact, who kind of welcomed me into their watching party as I was by myself, and they came and sat next to me, and it was kind of a kindred spirit kind of thing, so it made the event that much better. But here's what I get from the movie, and here's I couldn't possibly give you everything in the movie, and I wouldn't try. But what happened was I became a fan of the man. They gave the history, some of his history, some of his background, and then how the show kind of happened. And it struck a few chords with me because some of my shows just kind of happen that way. But how the show happened and how it evolved into what it became, as you know, from some local Pittsburgh show to a national show, and then his national exposure through public broadcast, and being on the flagship station, and his part in getting the government to fund public broadcasting, and the battle that was required, and his stand that was there. But then a thing happened where I started to connect to Fred Rogers, and he was there just simply loving. And for those of you who know me, I mean, a big part of Love Prince for me is just covering the world in love in whatever way, in whatever small way we can, one act at a time, one person at a time, one situation at a time. And his message kept getting closer and closer to me. And then once it hit, it became a part of me. And I started to feel his pain. I started to feel his compassion. I started to feel what he was trying to accomplish. And, he, you know, again, I wasn't that kind of fan of the show. And I was familiar enough with the man to respect him for what he tried to do. But this gave some more depth to why he was doing what he was doing and what he was actually trying to accomplish. And for teachers and parents and coaches and mentors, community folks, community leaders, when you're really outreaching for kids, and the basic and first premise is this thing that I'm doing for them love. Am I being loving to them? Am I being loving for them? And often in the movie, there were things that he said that I'd said some version of, and they were from vastly different situations. So it was interesting to me to have this man, decades ago, who was walking and clearing a path of footsteps and making it okay. And I never thought of Fred Rogers as cool, and he probably wouldn't have thought of himself as cool. But it was very cool what he did, and it was very cool why he did it. And I'm a fan of why he did it and what he tried to do. So moving past the cardigan sweater because he wanted you to feel comfortable, and the changing of the shoes so that you understood that this was home, and the bearing of himself in reality so that he wouldn't cross over into the puppets. But what was deeper than that was his ability to connect with people in any situation and being present. He was always present with those young people. He was always present with the adults. And he was better with the kids than he was with the adults. But that the number 143 has become a part of my thinking now, that, you know, the letters add up to I love you, and that was kind of a thing that he used throughout his life. So there was not a dry eye in the theater. There certainly was not an empty heart in the theater. All the hearts were full watching this movie, and there was not one person who left that theater not feeling loved, not feeling like they understood. And there was an exercise that he took in it, that if you closed your eyes and you thought for a moment about somebody special and what they've done for you in your life to get you where you are. And he was a master of slowing down time and having you use that time to gather yourself and to love yourself. Being present in the moment. Who would you think of? Do you have that person? That's the power of Fred Rogers. That's when you know you're in Mr. Rogers' neighborhood. You ask the question, is it a question? It's almost a statement. Won't you be my neighbor? Because we're supposed to treat neighbors with love. When you see this, it'll change your life. It's that good.